Is there such thing as a normal day these days? I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure if there's such a thing as a normal day in college football now. It's all crazy. I was actually going to go live a little bit earlier whenever I heard all this news, but we had to set off flea bombs in our bedroom and the bathroom. Our cats brought in some fleas. We've already treated them, so we had to treat the room, and I had to let it ventilate. So had to wait a while before I went live, but here we are. I'm happy to be here. I hope you're happy to be here. And remember to hit the thumbs up button. Hit that like button. Very, very important. That's not to signify that you even like the video or you're patting me on the back. No, no, no. That's not what the like button's all about. That helps the video hit the YouTube algorithm, which makes the video get suggested more. So more people see it, more people click on it, and boom, that's how you grow your audience. And of course, I was in a good rhythm of putting in the StreamYard link in the chat before I went live, but the weekend kind of messed me up, so I forgot to do that again. So y'all give me just 1 second while I put that in here real quick. I don't know why I keep forgetting it now. I was in a good rhythm last week. I was in a good rhythm, but I messed it up. So here we are. But the link is coming shortly. Let me just make sure I get all the correct keys, because if you miss one key, it won't work. I think I'm good though. Here we go. Let's see, StreamYard. All right, there you go, guys. If it doesn't work, let me know and I will reset it. Make sure that if you do join the show, just keep in mind there's multiple people in the chat, so try to minimize the talking over each other. Sometimes it's kind of hard to understand what one person's saying if another person starts talking, and vice versa. So just keep that in mind when you come on. It's basically like a call-in show, except instead of calling the number, you are coming on through the internet. That's basically the only difference. So let me get this set up correctly. There we go. There we go.
Hey, Golden Blue.
What's going on, Robert? How you doing today?
Not much. Like with your last video, I was like, with the Big Ten and that ESPN part, that's like a double-edged sword for both of them, really.
Oh yeah. Thing is, it could go either way. This could be really, really bad news for the Big Ten not getting College Game Day, or it could be really, really bad news for ESPN because Fox and the Big Ten could shut them out. They're not going to get to televise any Big Ten games.
Mm-hmm.
Who comes out the winner on this? I really don't know.
Yeah, it's like if they end up
going, that I didn't see coming. I didn't see it coming.
Yeah, for example, like if they go to Vanderbilt or even Duke or Wake Forest.
Exactly.
That fan experience is going to be garbage, and people are going to be just like, if this is going to be how game day looks now, they're just going to turn it off.
Yeah, it's not going to be game day anymore. It's going to be SEC day from now on.
Yeah.
I did hear that even though that the Big Ten is not going to have a TV deal with ESPN, that they still might think about going to those venues just to show the different atmospheres. Mm-hmm. So I'll be interested to see if that happens. I don't know. I guess that could go either way. Quick update on the channel, guys. We are just 140 subscribers away from 10,000 subscribers. 140. The goal was to get there by September 1st, Backyard Brawl. I think we will get there by the end of next week. That's if we keep trending the way that we're trending right now. I think we will most definitely hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of next week. So I'm pretty excited about it. Anybody in the chat that's a college football fan, not subscribed to Golden Blue, hey, give us a try. Hit the subscribe button. We do college football videos every single day. That is all we do here, and we do it all the time. It is an obsession, and I've told this story multiple times, but the reason I even started this show was ever since my early childhood, pretty much any conversation, whether it started with the weather, politics, driving, anything, my conversations always led to college football. And so eventually my friends and family like, buddy, we love you, but you need an outlet for this. And one day my brother showed me Uncle Lou. I was like, I think I could do a YouTube channel. I mean, he's just being himself, right? So that's all you got to do. And that's what I did. And it's not that simple. If you go back and look at some of my earlier videos, not good. Not good at all. So anybody that's watching this live show, the biggest advice, if you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel, the best advice that I can give you is start as soon as possible. All you need is your phone. That's it. All you need is your phone to record. Start immediately. That way you get your mistakes, your flub ups, whatever you want to call them, out of the way. You learn from them and you get better. The sooner you make the mistakes, the sooner you can learn from them. And that's how you get better. So in our live stream right now, we have Robert, we have Tim, we have TND, we have Jeff, and we have Jordan Bowman. So I would say that we are well represented by pretty much all the conferences as far as fan bases go. So I'm happy. So whenever y'all heard that the Big Ten had shut down negotiations because, well, ESPN basically shut down negotiations because the Big Ten asked for an amount that ESPN was not willing to fork out. And now the main headliners or candidates to grab the remaining share of the TV contract is CBS or NBC. Now, before I get to y'all, my initial reaction was actually positive because I knew that the SEC had outbid CBS for the SEC. And I'm a CBS guy whenever it comes to college football, just like I was an NBC guy when it came to college basketball, or the NBA. The NBA on NBC was awesome. I'm not a big basketball person, but NBA on NBC, I watched it all the time. So I think the CBS with college football is a hand-in-hand type of thing. So I hope CBS stays in the game. But I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this. So we'll start, kind of go down the line and get everybody's thoughts. I'll start with Robert. What did you think about this?
In my case, this is like pretty much, it's almost like pretty much people can just go to general cable with the Big Ten. If they're a Big Ten fan,
it's a great point.
They don't have to worry about dealing with ESPN at all. So they don't have to buy the sports package from their cable provider at all.
Right. And the biggest thing about what the Big Ten wants to do is, especially NBC has really gotten a loud voice in this. I was not expecting NBC to be as loud as what they are on this. They're basically, in their words, they're wanting the Big Ten to be the NFL of college football. The thing that I didn't like about that was using the term NFL. Don't even go there. I know that's not what they meant. They're not. It's not like,
Yeah, I think it's going to be close to NFL money. I think that's revenue. What I think it's going to be.
Yeah, but still, don't use that. I don't like that. Stay away from the NFL when talking about college football. Tim, what was your reaction? Because a lot of people think, now I know USC is going to the Big Ten, so I don't know really how much you feel about the Pac-12, but a lot of Pac-12 fans were actually relieved, and they think this is a good thing for the Pac-12.
Yeah, I do too, because it just means there's going to be more money for ESPN to bid on a. Well, I mean, I think it's pretty fixed though, the amount that the Pac-12 is going to get. But it's also going to need, it just means that the ESPN is going to need some content to fill that slot. And then now that Pac-12 After Dark is going to be that sweet spot for them. And it could get them a lot of money. But I'm really happy about it because I think Fox and NBC with their NFL presence and CBS to a lesser degree as well, it's just going to be a launching pad for all three of those leading into Sundays. So it's just going to be, and the production quality is top notch. And I have to be honest, for years, the East Coast bias that is just rife within the ESPN shows and their commentators. I'm glad. I'm okay with severing from ESPN.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. Quick reminder to people in the chat. If you have a question, comment, or you just want to straight up make fun of me or any of my guests, I have gotten their permission. You can troll them as well. Best way to do that is in the comments section with the super chat. That is that little $ you see on the bottom right-hand corner underneath the chat. Anything you put in that super chat, I will throw it on the screen. If it's a question, I will read the question, who it's from, and we'll answer it to the best of our ability. If it's a comment, we'll read the comment, address the comment, and so on and so forth. So the best way to get our attention is through the super chat. So,
hey Jeff, did you notice how Chris said that as soon as I went up there? Did you notice he timed that just right for when I was talking, Jeff?
He's trying to get judicial.
Did you quiz Jeff, or should I be hurt right now?
Where are you at, judicial? We need you, man. We need you. The show is missing something without you, man.
Hey up, buddy.
Let's see. TND, what did you think about this? Is this a good thing or a
Yeah,
bad
it
thing
really
for college
opened
football?
things up for the West Coast, like the western half of the nation on ESPN, with the Big Ten like kind of, or rather, ESPN steering away from the Big Ten. It opens things up for pretty much the ACC and the western half of the nation, well, except for the two California schools. But I digress. This is a good thing for those teams that don't get too much airtime because of scheduling concerns. But, I think it's a good thing. I mean, we all kind of knew this was coming. The Big Ten would get cable while the SEC and everybody else gets ESPN. But I want to see how this goes.
Yeah, I would agree with that. How do you feel about this, Jeff? I know you actually did a video on this on your channel, didn't you?
I did a video, and I'm also going to do another one. I'm going to take
Tide Guy. Y'all check out Tide Guy. That's his YouTube channel.
I'm going to take the other side of the argument for a moment about how I think it's worse. Well, you're going to have, let's say, USC the first time they go into the shoe or they go into the big house, right? That's going to be the game of the week. Does everybody agree?
Yeah. Or even Happy Valley, same thing.
Well, the game of the week is supposed to go to Fox, and Fox is an 11 o'clock kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that do? You see what I'm saying? What happens when Ohio State goes back into Happy Valley for a whiteout game? Oh, wait, that's the game of the week. So that's supposed to go to Fox. So some of your big matchups are not going to be in prime time. And think about this. If you're doing a noon kickoff, half of the country doesn't care about football yet. They're still in bed or they're just getting around trying to get things going for the day so they can start watching football. So you're going to cut off half the country from watching the big game of the week for your league. And the other thing I think it does is I think CBS is overpaying because they're not getting the top game of the week like they were with the SEC. NBC is kind of overpaying because they're now going to get the third best game of the week. So ESPN just saved $300 million. They're going to use that money on the playoffs. I think it helps ESPN lock Fox and CBS and NBC out of the playoffs. They got that much more money to bid on a playoff.
Well, Jeff, I would have to say that here's the thing. I don't think the playoffs are going to go. What people call the alliance a joke. And what people don't realize is it was never about the three conferences coming together or signing a pact not to poach each other's teams. What it was about is to stop ESPN from getting that playoffs and coming in, just swooping in. And so I think that, the Big Ten and the other conferences might say, hey, we don't want one conference with the sole rights to the entire playoffs, especially if it's expanding. Because it's been proven, just like in the NFL model, if you have multiple people competing for that stuff, it's going to be more money for the schools. So I don't think ESPN is going to be able to go in and take the playoffs from, let's say, Fox and CBS and NBC probably as well. I think it might be.
Yeah, because ESPN would have to offer way more for that. And I don't think ESPN would have the money even to offer that because of their viewership dropping too at the same time.
But what I'm saying is now ESPN has $300 million in the bank to help.
Right, exactly. They're saving a ton of money. They backed out of it. They're not spending a lot of money to be the non-leading TV deal for the Big Ten because Fox is still, the main producer or the main outlet. So ESPN is actually saving that money and they can focus it on something else. I'm glad Jordan jumped on here because he's a Clemson fan. So I wanted to get an ACC perspective out of this. Does this mean that maybe ESPN might think about, I don't know, we already know that the ACC and ESPN are talking about renegotiating that TV deal. Would they think about, throwing some more money towards the ACC?
I hope so. I sure hope so. I want any reason not to completely jump ship and switch. But yeah, it does add an interesting wrinkle to the renegotiation talks, and everybody else pretty much covered a lot of it. But I'm gonna miss the SEC on CBS theme. That's all time classic right there.
Exactly.
So
That's what I was saying earlier. You know, it was the same thing, the same way that I felt about the NBA on NBC. Like it just went together. So I was sad to see that go. I saw a Shooter that popped in, so I had to do the correct intro. Shooter, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Going great, man. This could be potential good news for the Big 12 as well.
Yeah, you know, I thought it was interesting. You mentioned something the other day on your other video about how this might affect College Gameday.
Yep.
And one thing I thought you left out of there was College Gameday not being at USC, UCLA.
Ooh, yeah.
That'll be Big Ten also. So,
that's true.
Yeah, I think that's probably an interesting point that, you know, Fox's, what do they call it, big noon kickoff or whatever. I think that's actually going to help a lot for them because they're going to have such a range of places now to go. But you guys are talking about $300 million that ESPN is going to have in the bank. I think they're going to have to spend that because I think they're going to need more content. All they have right now is East Coast, East Coast, East Coast, a little bit of Central. And they've got a whole lot of slots to fill with ESPN, ESPNU, ABC. So they're going to have to spend a little bit of that money somewhere, whether it's the Pac-12 leftovers or the Big 12 leftovers or whatever. But they're going to need some more content, and I don't think they're going to find it in the Mountain West and the Sun Belt.
That's why I was asking Tim earlier because for the Pac-12 because I know it's looking like it's they figured out the amount that they want to spend and it's not going to be any more. But with today's development, I don't know. They're going to have to fill more time slots. Maybe that can. I don't know. I don't know how that figures into all that.
Yeah, I have a little theory on that. Money that they supposedly saved for the Big Ten, not giving an offer to the Big Ten. They may be trying to save that money for the NBA, trying to give that offer to the NBA too. That could be another option.
I think the money goes to the. I think the money's going to go to the Pac-12, and the reason I think is I think ESPN finds a way to get the Pac-12 network, which is a disaster right now. They get that up and going in a better format. Plus, ESPN does not want Oregon, Washington, Stanford to go to Fox. So I think they're going to try hard to keep them. It's not going to work. I mean, eventually those schools are going to the Big Ten, but I think short term, I think they find a way to keep the Pac-12 together for at least 4 to 5 years. And I think some of the extra money is going to go into the Pac-12 network, reworking that, making it better, and that'll give the Pac-12 more money.
Yeah, but
I would agree with that. I actually have a video in the works that I'm editing right now because I didn't know how big today's video was going to be, but it turned out to be pretty big. So I'm actually going to save it for tomorrow. One of the things that I talked about in the second video, so I'm going to give y'all a sneak peek into it, is I think the tables have like drastically turned from this time last year as it relates to ACC and West Virginia. I think in even some sports outlet news in the state of West Virginia are reporting this. I think it was Joey that sent it to me. The ACC is actually watching that backyard brawl intently. The game is already sold out. I mean, it's done. They're selling standing room tickets only at crazy prices, and people are buying them. So the next thing is the ACC is going to look at the viewership to see how well that does. But that tells me that instead of West Virginia needing the ACC more, like this time last year, I think the tables have turned. And now, instead of West Virginia needing the ACC needs West Virginia more than the other way around. Would y'all agree with that?
I can see what you're talking about right there, but they'll need someone to come in with them too.
Well,
not necessarily because they got rid of the divisions rule.
Yeah. I think they're going to need the money. I think that's the problem is the ACC has got, they got to go step one and get that money and get that deal renegotiated. But I just don't know that ESPN has a great motivation to suddenly dish out more money. I mean, I just don't see that. But, anything's possible. But
you got to spend money to make money.
Well, right now they don't have to spend money, and they're going to make a fortune off the ACC. I mean, they got a locked-in contract till 2036 that nobody can leave, and they're just like, hey, cha-ching, baby, we're going to make money.
Yeah, if they hold on to that grant of rights still, the ACC is going to be pretty much in sitting duck by that time then.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Then what they're going to offer them, they're going to offer them way less when that contract's up then.
But I would say that ESPN not being able to carry any Big Ten games does put more pressure on ESPN to come up with content somewhere. So I'm not saying that West Virginia is the answer to that. I'm just saying they could be part of it and they can make other moves elsewhere because Fox is the main, media provider for the Big 12 as well. And that's who's going head to head, Fox and ESPN. So they're going to have to do something, whether it's West Virginia or not. That's kind of besides the point. I'm just saying it could be part of what they need to do to fill those time slots. And now that they have the extra money, they do have some money to put into something.
I do think, though, with the Big Ten kicking the ESPN out, I think this will speed up the next round of expansion.
Yeah.
And you got to keep in mind, everybody, the grant of rights, that's so bad. No, it's not. The SEC wants 6 teams. All the Big Ten needs is 2 teams. 6 and 2 is 8. The grant of rights is gone.
Wait, the SEC wants 6 teams from the ACC?
They're going to want 16 from the ACC.
Really?
Because we're not stopping at
that's
20.
A new
we're going
one,
to 24.
I believe anything now.
We're going to 24. I think the Big Ten beats us to 20. I think they're the first ones to announce that Oregon, Washington, Stanford, and Cal's coming. And shortly after that news breaks, I think the SEC steps in and says, well, we just got Clemson, Florida State. We got North Carolina. We got Virginia. And then we're either going to grab Miami, Virginia Tech, Duke, or North Carolina State. 2 of those teams will come. And I also truly believe West Virginia and Oklahoma State at that time gets the invites. And we're going to be at 8, and then the Big Ten's going to step in. More than likely, I think the Big Ten takes Miami. I think they want the recruiting and the TV market.
I agree with you on that.
I think they take Georgia Tech for the TV market.
I had to do a test. Hey, look at this. Look at this. Golden Bluted with the $5 super chat. Appreciate you, buddy. Appreciate it. Super chat. I was just making sure it was working.
Jeff, where'd you hear this 24 number? I mean, if that is the case, then we're just super arms races.
Yeah, that seems pretty random.
The reason
I don't think it's a random number. It seems like a really big number. And some of those schools you named, I'm not sure if they're gonna add to the SEC. I mean, schools like Miami and Clemson and Florida State, are for sure are gonna help out. But some of the other schools you named, I'm not sure if that's gonna really benefit the SEC.
And this is what I'm hearing, okay, from the people that I know. 2 20-team leagues makes the most money, and I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But what I'm hearing is the reason they're going to go to 24, the Big Ten and the SEC, is that gives 48 teams. That's a nice, easy number for when they do a playoff, because when they go to the big super conference, the playoffs are done. You're going to have the Big Ten and the SEC do their own thing. And I think they have figured out that 48 teams is about the smallest you want to go to hold your own playoffs and make it legit.
Well,
I don't know how much less legit a 40 team makes than a 48, but that's what I'm hearing from people, and that's why I speak on 24. I agree 100%.
I would say I would be good with 60. I think you don't want it to shrink that. I think 40 is just too small of an amount. I'm not saying they're going to go to 60. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I wish they would. I think 60 is still borderline. You're still leaving out some brands, but I like it better than 40.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a bare minimum of at least 3 super conferences.
Right.
And in a situation
that
where
would
you're
be
going to
2020.
Yeah. Well, because there's just the reason for this is college football is not about the blue bloods. I would bet that obviously that the rest of college football brings in a lot more revenue than the top 15 teams in the history of college football. I do mean that. Overall, just the whole space. You had the entire United States.
I got that in the mail today, guys.
Nice.
I'm going to put it in my background. Honestly, I don't know who sent it to me. It had a return address, but didn't have a name on there. So,
Mr. Anonymous,
to whoever sent this.
Yeah, shout out to Mr.
Anonymous. You probably emailed me and told me, and I just forgot. So I apologize. But this is pretty sweet, and I would actually agree with this Mount Rushmore. So I'm going to have that framed and have it put in the background. But I had to flash it real quick because I thought it was amazing.
It's pretty funny to me, but hey, I'm not a West Virginia fan, but hey, it's pretty funny.
No, I'm with Tim on this. You know, if you go to a 48-2 super conference situation, you're going to be leaving out so many programs and so many quality programs at that. It just doesn't. I mean, there's going to be an uproar and it's going to be a fiasco, and you're going to end up with politicians getting involved. That's the last thing anybody wants is for the
definitely.
government.
Yeah, don't make a federal case out of it.
Yeah.
The weird thing is money got us to this point. Money got us to this point, and I'm hoping that money pulls us out of it because as much as there be uproar and lots of good programs, because there will be, these networks, they want all the damn money, and so they're not going to disenfranchise half of college football to make it two big super conferences. Where that seems like that would be great for the Big Ten and for the SEC. It's not going to be good for network televisions. So again, there are huge fans that would be left out. There'd be a huge market left out. And quite frankly, if you're a top team, if you're like at Alabama, Jeff, do you really want schools that go 12-0 and then put a little asterisk next to your championship because they weren't even given a shot?
Yeah.
No, but here's a question I have.
Yeah, how many times teams got stubbed being undefeated? Yeah.
How many teams in the last 50 years have played for a national championship?
In the last 50?
West Virginia has.
I'm betting
Virginia
it's
has.
20 or so.
Less than 50 different programs.
Well,
yeah. West Virginia is one of them. We played for a national championship in '88.
Right, but you're talking about all these good programs who are going to be left out. They haven't been in anyway.
No, Jeff. I'm not talking. Listen, I'm sorry. We're conflating. We're two different things we're talking about here.
Yeah.
I'm saying what got us to this point is greed, and
Yeah.
ESPN and Fox. But what is going to save us from them turning into the Big Ten and ESPN show is the fact that there's too much goddamn money out there for them to say, you know what, we're only going to make this about 50 teams, because they'd be leaving a lot of meat on the bone if they did that.
Okay, but here's the next question then. And I'm with this, Tim. I like underdogs. But my question is, we all agree that ESPN owns the SEC.
Yep.
And for all intents and purpose, Fox owns the Big Ten. But now you got CBS and NBC in their piece of a pie with the Big Ten. Now let's say the Big Ten grabs 4 teams, the SEC grabs 4 teams. So let's say the rest of the ACC, the Big 12, and the Pac-12, they combine the top 20 teams. Who's going to pay for those? What is ESPN going to bid on it? Is Fox? Because if the Big Ten takes the next top 4 teams and the SEC takes their next 4 top teams, that's 40 of the best brands.
I think in that scenario, the saving grace could be the Big 12.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Same thing.
You got to realize in that scenario, you just eliminated the ESPN ACC network. So now ESPN has lost even more content. So you could see that third conference being a split between Fox, ESPN, and some other partners.
To be honest, the ACC network isn't much to write home about. I don't think we did that very much.
Okay,
yeah, it's one of their problems. It's one of their problems.
It's horrible. There's one.
Oh no, I don't like the ACC network.
I've seen Big Ten network.
Their presentation reminds me of that. What was that brand? That network? It was something Pilot. It was something Pilot that played ACC and Northeastern games, and it was just. It wasn't that the games were terrible. It was the presentation was unbearable. It was horrible. I think that's one of the big problems with the ACC network. For whatever reason, the presentation, how they deliver it has not been well executed.
And the ACC network has just been brought into the Florida market.
Ooh,
they haven't been on many
what?
markets.
That's bad. That is
why would you
bad.
not? Why would you not nail that down right away?
That's like shooting yourself in the foot before you even start.
That's the problem with the ACC net. But the thing is, I mean, we talked about
they
the
treat it like a
ACC
second network.
The Pac-12 would buy the ACC network right now, as bad as the Pac-12 is. And
Jefferson Pallet, thank you, Conqueror 2001. That was it, Jefferson Pallet. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, the ACC network is not really. I don't even know if it's available in Texas, but I don't think And that's you're talking tens of millions of crazy college football fans.
So I didn't even realize that one of their biggest issues is availability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not
everybody gets it.
Okay, that's completely stupid.
The cable companies, like, I don't even know what the cable companies are down there, but like Cox or whatever, they haven't been offering it.
Well, I actually was an investor at a local cable company here in Texas for a while, and I can tell you that they wanted so much money. ESPN wanted a fortune of money for all their network stuff, and there was all these add-ons and stuff. I mean, it's outrageous. You can't make money. I mean, we folded that business because it was not just ESPN, but Turner and the others. They were all jacking up the cost to the point where there was just no money left on the bone to make as a provider. So the
providers were getting tired of it. I know what you're talking about. Even up in the East Coast when I was in Pennsylvania, same thing. And I live in Texas now, so I know what you're talking about.
We just went straight data and just cut off the cable. I mean, we cut the cord, and we're a cable company.
So would one thing that would help the ACC network do better? Number one, being available to more locations, and number two, like different outlets of how you're going to broadcast it.
Better games.
Mm-hmm. True.
Better games.
Okay.
But I think ESPN.
Well, I mean, how can you really? I mean, what if they're not putting the best ACC game of the week every week? Then there's something wrong there. I was assuming that they already did that.
Yeah, but every week they don't have a really big ACC game, anyways.
Right.
So because you have to think.
So they're a victim of their own circumstances because the teams within the conference are not. They're not giving anybody something to watch.
Yeah, you have to think the big schools there are Clemson, Florida State,
Miami.
Really, and Miami.
Well, I think this year the ACC network can do better because I do think that Miami is going to be much, much better this year.
Yeah.
I think Clemson's going to be back. I think Florida State could be a bowl team this year. I think North Carolina could be like an 8-4 team. NC State's supposed to be really, really good. So, and no offense to Pitt fans or Wake Forest fans, but nobody really cared about that ACC championship game. It's just
Pitt may not even know.
Nobody cared about it.
Yeah, I think somebody was talking a few weeks back about how the problem with the Big 12 is we've had one dominant team with Oklahoma, and that's how Oklahoma kept getting in. But now with the new Big 12, we're not going to have that dominant team and so forth. But the benefit of the Big 12 is that there's so much parity that every game matters, that every game is on the line. It's a 50-50 game. You go look at the ACC. Clemson playing not Florida State, but playing Wake Forest or playing Syracuse, who cares? Who won before the game kicked off,
Right.
And
one giant ACC coastal.
Here's a nugget for everybody. Here's a nugget.
If we're talking
nugget for everybody for the ACC.
Explain that.
Syracuse. If Syracuse were to be elite again, I'm telling you that would help the ACC tremendously.
Definitely, yes.
They actually registered as the largest fan base in the ACC when they did that study. It's just they're not very good, so they're not supporting their team. Mm-hmm. If Syracuse were to be elite back, Donovan McNabb, late 90s, early 2000s, they were really, really good. Yeah. If they could get back to that level, I think the ACC would benefit greatly from Syracuse.
Yeah, the sad thing is, I don't think Syracuse is even recruiting in Pennsylvania right now. Back when I was in school, they had recruiting pamphlets at my school to recruit and everything. It's like, I'm guessing they're not even recruiting in Pennsylvania. And some of those kids are pretty good kids, especially on the eastern side of the state. Look at a few of the players. Some of those players came from the east side of the state of Pennsylvania to Ohio and everything else.
It's a hard.
If you're not recruiting in other states very well, you're going to be. You can't blame anything else but yourselves as Syracuse. Hell,
Jordan, I remember back in the day whenever somebody mentioned Paul Pasqualoni, which was the former head coach of Syracuse, West Virginia fan. We got to play that team again. Like, it was horrible. Like, even in years that West Virginia was good, going into that dome and having to play those Paul Pasqualoni teams, it was a freaking nightmare.
Yeah, and plus also in my case, my school actually had a in with Syracuse because one of our players played for them too back in I think it was like the 70s or 80s. So and I'll tell you the story another time, but he was a big name. He ended up winning a Super Bowl, for crying out loud.
But the problem with Syracuse is they have not invested much money into their program. Their facilities are falling behind. The stadium, that was a great stadium 30 years ago. They haven't put nothing into it. And if you look at the teams that are struggling today, it's because they do not invest in facilities. That's what Miami is going to be huge in the next few years. Once that stadium comes up, those facilities, how much more recruiting advantage does Miami need?
Right. Plus, we're counting the boosters and everything coming back and everything. Ooh, Miami.
Now, with Ruiz alone, you guys, that Miami doesn't need facilities to come back before they be back. They have probably the best recruiting boosters going on right now. So I mean, you're right, Jeff. When that comes in, that'll be great. But Miami's a machine when it comes to their boosters.
Right. And Miami needs to stick with what made Miami good as far as how they recruit, and that's recruiting with the swag. And I'm not talking about the stupid turnover change. That was just a gimmick. I'm not talking about a gimmick. I'm talking about the attitude that everybody hated, yes, but it's what made Miami successful. That is Miami's brand, that swag. And it looks like Mario Cristobal is bringing some of that swag. I don't think the coach before him had that. I mean, he recruited okay, but when you watch Miami, you're like, no, that just doesn't look like Miami. I think we're going to start seeing that more.
Yeah, probably you're thinking about what the last coach was like, a Division II coach that didn't care.
Well, I think he was there because he wanted to be in Miami. It's a fun place.
Exactly.
True.
Now,
I think Manny Diaz wanted to be there. If that's who we're referring to,
I didn't think he had the correct.
That was his first head coach. That was his first head coaching job. He was not ready for that, and he didn't.
I wasn't thinking of Manny. I was thinking of the guy before him. I forget his name.
Mark Richt.
Mark Richt.
He wasn't a D2 coach. They didn't care.
No. I think he just liked being in Miami.
Mark Richt was an enigma because he showed flashes of being a really, really good coach, but when he was put under pressure, he folded. He was not very good under pressure. He recruited at a high level for Georgia. He won a crap ton of games over there at Georgia, but he just could not win those big games.
Yeah. I think a big problem also for some of these ACC schools is that some of them are not in football crazy places. Like the SEC is every one of those states.
It's a religion.
Those fans love football. I mean, they eat it and breathe it, and they'll go watch an Ole Miss Mississippi State game, even though both of them suck one year. Just because it's just in their blood. But you go up to Syracuse, and if you're not winning, you're not going to draw fans. But you can have a losing season, and the Aggies will still pack Kyle Field. And so that kind of stuff plays into it. It's just that's why I think the Big Ten and some of these other guys are crazy for passing on taking a Texas school. This is a crazy, crazy state for football at every level, pro, college, high school. So, the people are going to show up because they just love it. It's in their blood. And I think when you look at the SEC, it's in the blood of Alabama, Mississippi, all those states, man. It's there. So
I would agree with that. I saw a few comments saying that the super chat isn't
Let's take
working.
a timeout.
I did one earlier, but it went through, so I don't know do you know what's going on, Joey?
No, I don't. I'll check it right after I make this announcement, though. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay, good deal. So I'll check it right after I make this announcement. So the picture you held up a while ago, the Mount Rushmore of West Virginia.
Yes.
So those weren't supposed to be shown, but that's okay. We'll get around it. Those are that's the Mount Rushmore. Those are from Slap It On. They're vinyl decals, so you can take them and put them on anything and move them, and they're not like a sticker. They're vinyl decal. But what's cool about them is those have not been released yet. Mike Vanderjack and his other partner, which I can't say his name, sent those to us and as a new thing. So every school is going to have these Mount Rushmore slap-it-ons, and so I will throw them a little shout out there.
So do you want me to show it now?
I'll let you know. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and show it.
All right. While you're talking, I'll
everybody,
show it.
It works.
Okay. So everybody's going to. We will have we won't, but every team will be represented with their own Mount Rushmore.
This just happened to be this just
their
happens
best
to be West
players
Virginia
in history. So that's Romney, and of course he was a kicker at West Virginia. So
yeah,
we're looking forward to. They're looking forward to being able to release them to every school. And I keep saying we because I'm kind of a partner with them in it, but kind of not. So I know it don't make no sense, but I am kind of partnered with them. But that's why we ended up getting these so early. So it'll probably be a few months away. I know they were pushing for before the kickoff, but I don't think it's gonna make it. They just got their website revamped, slap on. Anyway, on these Mount Rushmore pictures, let me tell you what's cool about them. So if you download their app, the Slap It On app, and you scan these pictures, it'll show the players in action, so you can see players on your player in action on your screen. It also has a lot of interactive, a lot of more interactive stuff. It'll let you visit every one of them social media outlets, every one of them, everything, whatever. So there's a really cool thing. Somebody's making a lot of things that they slap it on. And it's a company that we're going to be dealing with and working with. Yeah. As soon as we get the money together, we're going to start doing slap it on, and we're going to have those in tier levels in the Patreon membership. And as you scan, like if you're a $5 member, you'll get an extra video every week. A $10 member will get a couple. We haven't figured it all out yet. These are really cool because you can just scan them on the go and visit any of our social media outlets and everything else and know what's going on at Golden Blue Dude at any time. So
yeah. So basically, this is going to be a promotion through Slap It On. We're going to have Mount Rushmores of every team. This just happens to be West Virginia. And when you scan the decal, you'll be able to look at game clips of each player and go to their social media outlets. I think that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Now we will not be selling the Mount Rushmores, but we will be selling a Golden Blue Dude logo just like that. And each logo will be different because if you're a $5 member, it'll have different things that it'll do that a $10 membership will do. A $10 membership will do anything that $5 will, but a $5 won't do everything a 10 will. So it's going to be in a tier level package deal. So but we're probably still 2 months away from launching this campaign, but just give everybody a heads up on that. So it's something I'm working on in the back end for us.
Awesome, Joey. Thank you.
Don't forget our drawings. Anybody that sends in a super chat this month, drawing for a trail camera, and anybody that makes a purchase for our merchandise store, you also get in the drawing for a set of night vision binoculars.
Yeah, so, great prize.
I guess that's it. And I see that there's some super chats that have come in. I see that there's some super chats that
they
have
are
come
working.
in to make sure it's
they
working.
Are working.
And Tim Franklin joins.
Yeah, super chats are working.
So anyway, guys, I guess that's all I had for right now. Listen, Traveling Pools went out of his way and sponsored this drawing for us with the camera and binoculars. To be sure and sub Traveling Pools up if you would.
Yeah, great supporter of Golden Blue Dude. I would agree with that.
And I'm done.
You good?
Yep.
I want to make sure I didn't interrupt you. Anybody that hasn't hit the like button, please do so. That really helps the video a lot. That's not even necessarily saying that you like the video. It just helps us hit the YouTube algorithm, gets the video suggested more, and that's how you grow the video. And I can tell you guys have been hitting the like button because the audience is indeed growing. And if you have a question or a comment or just want to flat out troll me, best way to do that is the super chat. That is that little $sign that you see at the bottom right-hand corner of your chat. Anything you put in that super chat, I will throw on the screen. If there's a question, I'll read the question and we will answer it to the best of our ability. If it's a comment, we'll read the comment and we'll address that as well. And we have confirmed that the super chat is indeed working. So if you want to do that, now's the time to do it.
One more note, real quick. So Kenny Hill, for one more note. So Kenneth Hill would like to sing a song for our 10,000, not when we hit 10,000 subscribers. And he said he spoke to you about that. He has a list of 4 songs, and he wants me to do a poll. So I'm gonna put the poll question up with a list of 4 songs, and everybody will vote on that. Appreciate it. And
I like it.
He's gonna make a little special video for Golden Voodoo for hitting 10,000. All right, I'm gonna get out of here.
Did he email me? Did he email me that or anything?
Yeah, he had asked you about it in the chat one day in here, and then and you told him that was fine. Get with Joey, and he did. He got with me.
Okay.
What was?
Hey Joey, can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
Joey.
Tomorrow night we're still doing that Patreon.
Yeah, I'm here.
Call in, right? Tomorrow night.
I'm gonna have to look at that poll and see when everybody wanted it. I think it was Friday night they wanted it. Friday or Saturday.
Okay. Well, I was just going to do a shout out to it if it is for tomorrow night to tell people to sign up for Patreon so that way they can, be part of that.
I think that maybe we're going to have to move it. I think we're going to have to move it to Friday or Saturday night. We will do a late show on Patreon either Friday or Saturday night. And when I get it nailed down for sure, we'll shout it out. Yeah. So, but I thank you for remembering that, Jeff. I did forget about that.
Can I make a suggestion? The problem with Saturday night is a lot of the people are still watching football.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree with that.
Before this,
I agree.
I think Friday would build it up too.
Yeah, Friday would be great. I'm fine with
think
any
we'll
day,
do it
but
Friday.
I'm just kind of worried with Saturday with football games already.
I think it would be before or after. Friday or Sunday would be the 2 best days.
Yeah.
And
I think
early on
Friday
Friday
after the WVU show. We're going to do it on Friday after the Mark Rogers WVU show.
Hey, has anybody heard from judicial protest?
After
I
Mark
haven't seen him in a while.
Rogers
What happened? Did he get bored with us or something?
He got grounded.
He got grounded.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
I broke his piggy bank actually.
How do y'all think? One name that really popped out.
All right, I'm out of here.
All right, Joey, have a good one.
Yep.
A couple names that really popped out whenever I heard the news today about ESPN, stopping negotiations. Oregon and Washington. Do you think that this leads towards the Big Ten picking them up, or does it lead more towards them leaving them out? Which direction do you think they go with Oregon and Washington now?
Tough.
It depends on Notre Dame.
Everybody's waiting on Notre Dame. I think the Big Ten wants and needs, especially again, eventually, like Jeff said, whether it's 20, 24, whatever the number is going to be, the SEC is going to pick up some great programs in Clemson and Miami and Florida State, etc. The way that the Big Ten is going to counter that is to grab the Portland market with the Ducks, the Seattle market with the Huskies, and then hopefully, I think the slam dunk will be Notre Dame.
Right. I actually heard earlier in the day that if the Big Ten does grab Notre Dame, that's going to bump the deal up. Oh my gosh,
huge!
That's going to bump the deal up from around 1.5 billion to 2 billion.
Well, if the SEC gets Clemson and Florida State and Miami and some of these other schools, I know that Notre Dame is probably the biggest fish out there, but we're talking about 3 historic programs right there. So I mean, that all have great markets on their own.
And I'm probably 90% sure that Oregon and Washington already have a date. I don't think the Big Ten.
You might be right about that.
I don't think the Big Ten grabbed USC and UCLA and said, "Hey, you're moving to the Big Ten and you're going to be on an island." I think a deal has already been maybe not.
And that's one thing that I can confirm is every time we see these deals rolled out, it's not like they all of a sudden decided and made up their mind within a week. These deals have been made months and months in advance. It's just we find out when we find out. So if Washington and Oregon are going to the Big Ten, then all parties already know it. I think they already know it. And they'll just release it whenever they want to. Maybe they want to capture the news next all season. They're like, all right, we did our job. We got all eyeballs on the Big Ten with USC and UCLA. We'll do it next year with Oregon and Washington.
Yeah, that's the problem, though. Oregon especially did not sound like they knew it initially. So if this is true, then it must have worked out in the past couple of weeks or so. Because
I don't
what
think
they were told to think, though, like to act like.
I don't think anything's written. I don't think anything's written down. There may have been some discussions. They might have some ideas, and everyone knows. I mean, not everyone knows, but most people can see the writing on the wall. That's going to be the direction they're going to counter back with, right? They grabbed Oklahoma and Texas. USC grabbed UCLA and USC. They're going to eventually. I don't know how or when this is going to turn out. See, I'm just wondering how long for all this is going to be to fall out. I don't know how long it's like. But ESPN's not going to. ESPN's not going to give away all that content that they got on bargain. They're not going to do that. That's why, Jordan, if you know anything about that, you're the ACC guy. If there's something there that you know about, because everything I hear is just pretty ironclad.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really anything. No.
And so I don't think that the Big Ten's in a big hurry to do them next year. Probably not. I think if anything happens, it's going to be, down the road a little ways. Would be my guess.
The way it looks to me, as far as the grant of rights for the ACC is, it's all on the side of the provider. In other words, ESPN is getting the best deals, pennies on the dollar for some major brands. They have them locked in till 2036. No, they can't bring anybody in, but they don't really have to if they have them locked in. They're not having to pay out a ton of money. So, I mean, if you're really talking about facts, renegotiating TV deal, wouldn't that only hurt ESPN?
No. ESPN could use the Pac-12 and the ACC and get some matchups that way. I mean, I think they're going to lock up both. Well, they already have the ACC. They pick up the Pac-12 with that contract, and then they can make some deals between the two. I don't know.
I mean, and you also have to think. I mean, while the ACC is not the big money maker, for ESPN, they're still sinking a significant amount of capital into it. And I mean, if you're sinking a bunch of money into a product that isn't any good because they're not being competitive on the national stage, then what's the point? So in that way, you got to think, well, maybe it's worth renegotiating. Given
that was what I was going to say exactly. Because of that reason. Because why renegotiate if they're doing terrible? Renegotiate if they're doing terrible. You're going to lowball them, no matter what, like they did with the Pac-12.
Unless they can reel in Notre Dame.
That's a game changer. Yeah, that would be completely different.
And I highly doubt Notre Dame is going to really go into the ACC.
That's what I've been trying to explain to my viewers. Things change. Like last year, all the people that I was talking to, all my sources were saying, the ACC is going after Notre Dame and West Virginia. And now I'm like, I don't even know if West Virginia would want to go to the ACC now. I mean, if they do break the grant of rights, then, that opens the doors for all these other teams to actually leave the ACC. So, things have completely got flipped upside down. And I actually think it would be better for West Virginia to stay in the Big 12 right now.
I could really see Notre Dame, because of the money now with the Big Ten, being so extreme. There's no way they can get an independent contract that gets close. I can see Notre Dame joining the Big Ten and actually the Big Ten getting Stanford. And I wouldn't be surprised if they sat still for a while on that. It's not like Oregon and Washington are going to go to the SEC. That'll never happen. So where Oregon and Washington going to go that the Big Ten couldn't get them later on? And but then if they got Stanford, UCLA, USC, I think they would have locked up so much of California. They'd now own the West Coast as far as California. And they would have Tim was talking about earlier, SEC gets UT and OU. How do you beat that or match that? Well, the only two out there is Notre Dame and USC. And they couldn't get USC by itself, so they took UCLA and locked down the LA market, but they want Notre Dame. until they get Notre Dame, they have not really matched the SEC move taking UT and OU. So once they get Notre Dame, and they'll take Stanford to do it, then they're good. Or they'll take Oregon, maybe. I don't know. But I don't know that they're going to go jump and get Oregon, Washington, Stanford, Cal. I don't see that being a good Big Ten move, to be honest with you.
Not anytime soon would be my guess. I don't think that's happening like you said next year or next year after that. It's going to be a while.
It's going to be like 4 or 5 years down the road in that case. In my book, I say about 4 or 5 years at minimum, maximum maybe 10.
I think one of two things will happen with the ACC. I think ESPN wants those big brands from the ACC in the SEC so bad that, one, they're going to renegotiate and give them that deadline of 2029, which bumps it up significantly, and the buyout's going to be much lower. Or they might straight up work with Fox and get enough teams to vote against the grant of rights and dissolve the ACC and get as many big brands out of the ACC into the SEC. I think eventually, I don't know if it's going to be sooner rather than later, but I think eventually that will be the end game for the ACC and ESPN and the SEC. And then Fox and the Big Ten, they can get 2, 3, 4 teams out of there as well. But I think if the SEC convinces Fox to say, hey, you grab some teams, we'll grab some teams, they will make sure that they get the best brands first. They're going to make sure that the Big Ten doesn't get, the teams that they want.
Gold and Blue do. I might disagree with you. They're going to probably fight on some of those big name teams. They're Big Ten and the SEC are going to probably fight it out with them by just offering money with these schools.
Well, then ESPN won't break the ground.
ESPN,
They won't help them out.
It's not going to help ESPN no matter what, because it's going to become a fight between the conferences. That's the number one problem. No matter what, they have to face that fact that they might not get all the big brands in the SEC. Some most likely will go into the Big Ten. They have to face that fact.
I'm just saying the SEC will get the top 4, and then they'll let the Big Ten get the next top 4.
Well, what if Miami decides they want to?
Out of that top 4, they might get 2, and then the other 2 top 4 go into the Big Ten. That's what I see.
But the Big Ten split. The Big Ten won't take Clemson, and the Big Ten won't take Florida State.
Right.
Yeah.
Where the fight is going to be over one school, really.
Miami.
It's going to come. No, it's going to be North Carolina.
North Carolina.
That's another good one too.
North Carolina's going to decide: do they want to stay in the South and play, or do they want to go be prestigious in academics? Miami's not going to be a fight, because if the Big Ten offers Miami's not going to choose the SEC over the Big Ten. I don't see that happening.
This is a good question right here. Check this out. Thank you, BMB Jump Shot, for the $4.99 donation. Says a Big Ten West team has never won the conference since realignment. Could one win this year? I think it's the same old story. I think all the good teams are in the Big Ten East. But if there is a team, maybe Wisconsin, maybe. I don't think Iowa's consistent enough. They never have Iowa's problem is they never have an offense. They always have a great defense. They always have a great home field, but that offense always bites them in the rear end. I think if there is a Big Ten West team that might have enough pieces to possibly pull some upsets and win the Big Ten championship, it would be Wisconsin. I still don't see it. I think Ohio State is going to be your Big Ten champion this year.
Yeah. Right. The problem with Iowa won last year. Iowa don't win back-to-back years.
Exactly. Then I don't think Iowa's going to even win the West. I would agree with that. Yes. And then there's Minnesota. They're defense heavy, and I think they're going to have a good defense again. But their offense isn't going to be able to compete with the offenses of Ohio State. I think Penn State might replace Michigan as far as the team that's going to scare Ohio State this year. I don't think they're going to beat Ohio State like Michigan did last year, but I think they'll be that Michigan team that could maybe scare them this year. I think
and last year with the Big Ten and Ohio State, that was one heck of a game too, way I've heard about the Penn State-Ohio State game. Even though Ohio State beat Penn State, it was one hell of a game, a lot of people said, because it went to the wire and everything, if I remember right.
I don't remember that game, actually.
Yeah, I'm
have to look it up.
I remember listening to people talk about it, because it was before that game even played, they were saying that it was going to be a close game. I remember that.
The problem with Penn State last year was Sean Clifford got injured early in the season. They actually looked really, really good early in the season.
Well, they also couldn't run the ball.
Yeah,
were-
that was a
That's
big.
I heard
big
about
issue.
that one too. Yeah,
Big issue.
yeah.
That's
After
right.
that game played, I heard about that. They couldn't run the ball
Yeah.
either. But
Now, did the Big Ten change their conference championship? Is it still going to be the East versus the West, or are they going to do like the Pac-12 and go the best two?
Best two. That's another thing. So
So
that
they might
I
not
mean,
even have a
so that
West
that
East.
question is not even going to be relevant this year. Thank you, Vanity Rose, for the $5 donation. Says, "Go to Blue Dude. That idea sounds good. We all know that we can trust the Big Ten to be honest and take the next best four." That's a good point. Exactly. Hey, if you promise not to go after the top four teams, we will help you break the grant of rights. You promise. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I
yeah,
get
in my
it.
case with the Big Ten, I'm like, Big Ten will want the schools that they will want, and I think a few of them will be those top echelon, but not all of them.
How can you not trust the Big Ten? Come on.
Yeah, I know,
how
right?
they stab the Pac-12 in the back? Hey, I know how the Big Ten is. I was raised up in that part of the country. I know they'll stab you in the freaking back if they need to.
Yeah, the game between
needs to talk to the Big 12 about stabbing people in the back. So I'm not sure. I think SEC's taken more Big 12 teams than the Big 10's taken Pac-12 teams.
Yeah, but you have to think how much of how the Big 10 and Big 12 have been facing each other for years in the Rose Bowl. So
honestly, can you trust any conference at their word right now? Like, I think that could apply to anybody, really.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, and has the SEC ever claimed to be morally,
Yeah,
righteous? We're not like the Big Ten.
on any high
I mean, we have a perfect example with the Alliance. Hey, Pac-12, Big Ten, ACC.
Yeah, let's stick
Do
together
you agree
against
not to pick off from each other? Do you agree not to pick off from each other? Okay, so we're in an alliance, we're in agreement. Okay, and then the Big Ten, picks off the Pac-12.
Bam,
Big
Big
Ten.
Ten.
DTA, don't trust anybody.
I think I covered that already. Again, it was never about an alliance on any level except for the fact that Fox wanted, and Fox and probably NBC and CBS said, "Hey, block this crap. Don't let them railroad football and take the playoffs." That's what the whole alliance was about.
And I'll be honest, Tim, that's
does
the smartest
exactly that.
thing. We need ESPN to not be the only team. I mean, we need playoffs on NBC this year and CBS next year, and rotate it, make the most money. But the thing is, these other networks need to bid more.
Right.
Hell, even ABC.
And the Pac-12 gets a lot of crap for not being very good over the past 5 to 7 years. But to be honest with you, I'm actually behind the Pac-12 trying to push them to being better because I think college football needs, the West Coast to be good. So, hopefully with USC and UCLA, it's not necessarily the label of the Pac-12. I'm hoping they have success and the West Coast is just represented in the playoffs. I think the playoffs needs that a lot.
Yeah, some of the West Coast teams actually doing better and actually getting into the playoff would be the best for that side of the country. Yes.
Well, I mean, we're going to see right off the bat, Utah is supposed to be the best team in the Pac-12. And they're going to go on the road and play Florida. I mean, if Florida beats Utah, I mean, that puts the Pac-12 right behind the 8 ball right out of the gates.
Oh, yeah. It's like shooting yourself in the foot. You're starting off on a bad foot then.
But you look at how college football has screwed up over the last 50 years. Me and Tim have talked about this. You go to the 70s, and you name me a year, and I can name you 8 teams that would be a great playoff. You show up today, and you got 2 teams for a playoff, maybe possibly 3.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But for me, it's not about, the final result. I like playoff expansion because you're going to get those matchups that are going to be, fun to watch. I mean, if we can accept the fact that ultimately it's going to be Alabama versus Ohio State or Alabama versus Clemson or Clemson versus Ohio State or, the 4 teams, Georgia's going to be in there, Notre Dame maybe. If we can be okay with that and accept it for what it is, and then, understand, hey, playoff expansion is just to get those matchups, home playoff, game. We've never had that in college football. I would like to see that in my lifetime. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
So I would be able to accept the playoffs just for those facts, knowing, hey, I understand it's going to be Alabama and Ohio State and Clemson and Notre Dame and Georgia in the end. I understand that. I accept that. But I want to see those other matchups.
Gold and blue,
well.
dude. One thing, if you think about it, if you expand it with like, for example, Alabama ends up getting upset by a surprise team, or any of those, Yeah, that would actually catapult that playoff even bigger, like the March Madness does.
Yeah, I don't see that as big of a possibility in college football as it is in college basketball.
Yeah, but
I do agree with you that if it did happen, like the popularity of the playoffs would go up.
Exactly, it would do best for them.
Like if y'all think about it, if Cincinnati upset Alabama last year and went on to play Georgia in the national championship, right? I mean, you'd have so many storylines going into that. Number one, the Cinderella, they beat mighty Alabama. The rematch of the Peach Bowl. That would have been some great storylines if they could have somehow upset Alabama. It just didn't happen.
Tide guy hung himself, I mean.
Yeah.
And Cincinnati actually did pretty well against Alabama.
That's a good one. Yeah, I just think to me, it's more about creating storylines and creating money. I mean, if you can create some matchups that people are going to watch, I mean, that's success right there.
Yeah, you're creating
somehow, some way, the team that you weren't expecting moves on to the next round and can pull off an upset. That's just a bonus. You don't expect it, but it's a bonus, and that creates an extra layer of storylines.
Yeah, and also creates interest with the people. They're going to watch, meaning ad revenue and everything else. Those networks make more money.
Ad revenue. A lot of people don't talk about that enough.
Yeah, that's how TV networks make their money, is through ad revenue. If you're not getting enough viewership like ESPN is, I've heard the ratings for ESPN. Most of their shows are really tanking. This is the reason why they're not trying to spend as much money. They're trying to save the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I got a question. I just went back through the chat, and Hillbilly Skeptic's in there, and he mentioned that the Big Ten has only won 5 national championships in the last 50 years. Whose national championships aren't we counting?
Ohio State.
Ohio has 2.
Michigan
has 2.
Yeah.
Penn State won.
Yeah, Penn State won. Yeah,
but they said they've only had 5 national championships.
Yeah.
How many years are we going
State
back?
has 5 on their own.
How many years are we going
back?
Not
in the last 50 years.
50 years.
USC got more than the Big Ten.
They have.
I guess Nebraska doesn't count.
Michigan.
They have. Well, they've only won 2 this century. So 2002, 2014, and if you go 50 years, I think if you have to go all the way back to like 1970.
In the 70s,
only 3 teams out of the Big Ten, right? Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio
State. You can't count Nebraska.
Yeah, Nebraska was in the Big 8.
Nebraska was in the Big 12 and Big 8, so they don't count.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're only counting the teams that were actually playing in the Big Ten.
Wow.
Right.
Okay, yeah, because Ohio State, though, should have won at least 2 in the 70s that would have counted.
Yeah.
Because I'm old. I remember back Woody Hayes won some national championships.
In the 60s, yeah, but he didn't.
Well, USC itself has 5 in that time frame, so that's 10 then.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying.
1970 was.
You've got USC coming in with the whole bunch. You've got Penn State with 2. You've got, you've got the teams.
Yeah, what was the other one with Penn State? I remember the one in the 90s. I remember Penn State won one in the 90s.
They didn't win one in the 90s.
They won one in the 80s.
80s. That's why I was thinking 80s. It was either 80s or 90s, yeah.
Was it 86?
80, it was in the mid-80s.
I'll double check that.
Yeah.
It's like 84.
I'll double check that.
BYU won 84, didn't they?
85 was Oklahoma, I think.
Okay, so 84 BYU, 85 Oklahoma, 86 Penn State. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to double check that to make sure.
What about the ACC if you went back 50 years? I mean, you have Clemson, you have Florida State,
Miami.
Georgia Tech with the share of a national championship.
81 and 94 is. Oh no, they're unclaimed ones. 86 and
81 was Clemson.
86 and 82 and 86 was Penn State's. Yeah, I went a little too far down in their history.
Yeah, because you'd have Miami, you'd have Florida State, you'd have Georgia Tech, you'd have.
Well, Miami wasn't in the ACC.
Oh yeah, we take Miami.
They were in the Big East and maybe independent back then.
Yeah, they were independent most of them.
Yeah, but in 2001 they were in the Big East.
Yeah.
So you have Florida State, you have Clemson, you have Georgia Tech with the share. Anybody else? Did Syracuse win it in the past 50, or you have to go back further?
Well, the problem is Syracuse wasn't in the.
They weren't even in the ACC. That's right. I keep forgetting.
Don't forget Miami.
Even I remember that
we
because
said
I remember
Miami.
in basketball.
Not
Miami was in
North
ACC.
Carolina, not Duke, not NC State, not Wake Forest. What about
Colorado
Maryland?
in 1990.
Yeah, that's
That's
Pac-12.
Pac-12. We're talking ACC teams.
I think that's only 3, right? 3?
Yeah,
Okay,
Clemson.
okay.
I don't
Well,
think
Yeah.
Clemson,
I'm
Florida
looking
State,
at
and
it right
Georgia
now. It's
Tech.
a huge list.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Florida State, Georgia Tech, and Clemson.
Yep.
I
Boy,
think
this
that's
ain't a
it.
Yep.
good look. The SEC has 5 different teams in the last 25 years.
Yeah, yeah. Very, very true. What about what about the Big 12? Well, Nebraska was back
Nebraska.
in there back then. Texas,
Texas,
Oklahoma. Not Texas Tech, not Iowa State. Kansas State was god awful. TCU and Baylor have been close, but not
It'd
quite.
just be those 3. Texas.
Yeah.
What about Colorado? Were they in the Big 12?
They were.
Yeah, no, Colorado
they were-
won back
Yeah,
in
they
the
were
90s.
90, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they were in
90.
the Big 12. They were in the Big 12 whenever they won. So that's
Yeah.
4 right there. What about A&M? I know they were in the Big 12 there for a
How
while.
far back are we
Well,
going?
they haven't won a title since
A&M.
39.
Okay,
Hasn't
that's
won
like
the title.
26, right? 1926, something like that.
It's 39 was their last.
39.
What
Bama
about-
won in 26.
What about Arkansas whenever they were in the Big 8?
Arkansas was never in the Big 8.
They were in the Southwest. Okay,
Yeah,
Southwest.
they were in the Southwest, and they only have one title from like six.
I think
it's
that's just
64.
64.
What about
Yeah.
Missouri? Did they have any titles during that
No.
era?
Not in 50.
No.
They had a couple good teams in the 70s, but they didn't win
They
titles.
didn't win it all.
Okay,
No.
so 4. So the Big 12 has 4. So we have Big 10, shockingly, just 3. ACC 3, which is what we figured. Big 12 4. That surprised me. Now
Now go to the
Pac-12.
Pac.
What about Pac-12?
You got USC.
UCLA.
You got
USC.
Yeah.
USC, Washington,
you got
Washington,
UCLA.
UCLA.
Well, how far
Wait,
are we
did
going
UCLA?
back?
Wait. Did
How
UCLA
far are we
win in
going
the last
back?
50
They won-
years?
We're going last
They
50
won in the
years.
50s.
Last
They won
50
in the
years.
50s.
Years.
Okay, UCLA's out then. You're
Okay,
right.
so USC, Washington, right?
USC.
Not Cal.
We
not
said USC.
No,
Stanford.
that's it. In that time frame, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
That's
Those
it.
two?
They had 2.
All right.
Okay, so as it stands, last 50 years, ACC with 3, Big 12 with 4, Big 10 with 3, and the Pac-12 with 2. And
Wait, who
the
did we
SEC
say
has
the Big
5 in the
Ten
last
had?
25 years.
Who did
Lord.
the Big 10 have?
Just Ohio State and Penn State, right?
No, Penn State wasn't in the Big 10 when they won.
Oh,
No,
that's
they
right.
were- Yeah, they-
Oh, they were
Yeah.
independent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they-
So
it's
you're
just
going to have to
one.
go with Michigan
just
and
two.
Ohio
One
State.
in
Yeah, there's
97.
2 in the 80s.
Michigan
Holy
won in 97.
crap.
Never.
Yeah,
You got
Ohio
Michigan
State and
and
Michigan.
Ohio State as the only 2.
Holy crap! I might make a video on that. Like I didn't
Yeah.
Pretty
realize
amazing.
that.
They
Wow.
have 3
That's
national
insane.
championships in the past 50 years. The Big Ten has 3 national championships in the past 50 years.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Wow, I was not expecting that. What about this comment? Thank you, Jersey Love 3. Love the name, by the way. For the $5 donation, says I thought Cincy played well against Bama defensively. It's just the offense was ghost all game, so the defense ran out of gas. But that's just me, though. Well, the problem with that matchup between Cincinnati and Alabama is Alabama knew that they could rely on the run, and that's all they did. They leaned on Cincinnati the entire game, and it was a bad matchup for Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I think
but
Cincinnati
I
did
kind of
play
agree with that, though.
fairly well on
Yeah.
defense, considering, but Alabama was just too big for him.
Yeah, it's kind of like it kind of reminds me of you guys remember that Alabama Washington semifinal.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It kind of reminded me a little bit of that, like
Or the
Washington
Alabama
didn't-
Notre Dame national championship.
Yeah,
And that's the problem.
It
You
wasn't
gotta
as
have
bad.
a line.
Well, Alabama and Washington, that game wasn't like Alabama didn't blow that game wide open, like, but it was kind of competitive for a little bit. But Alabama just kind of leaned on them for 4 quarters, and by the end, it was I think they won by 17. I think it was like 24-7. And
Wasn't it Alabama that knocked out Michigan State in the playoffs as well? And it was
Yeah.
kind of
that was like
fashion.
38-0.
38 to nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
an
a
awful
bad
game.
one.
Yeah, no, that was a blowout. That was just a straight up blowout. Yeah, that was
So-
uncompetitive.
I think
That Michigan
Michigan's
State
the
team
only,
wasn't that
Michigan
good.
State was the only team not to score in a playoff.
Yep. they
No,
still
Ohio
hold that
State.
record.
No, Ohio State got shut out in 2016 by Clemson.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
That's even
Yeah.
worse.
The Pigskin Pete still has the "Who's Your Daddy" thing for Ohio State.
Yeah,
Remember that? Very good.
yeah. That
Yeah,
Michigan
Big
State
Ten
team
Pete, by the
wasn't
way.
very good. Yeah, That 2013 Michigan State team was way better than that 15 team.
I would say
that
that Michigan State team that made the playoffs was probably the one playoff team that I would say never, I mean, not even remotely should have made it, but because of their record and they had a few wins in there, that was just one clear example of a non-playoff team making the playoffs, and not just because they were matched up with mighty Alabama. You could tell they were lost in the lights. They weren't used to the big moment. They went up against mighty Alabama, and it was bad. They were
very lucky in a lot of their wins, like that. I mean, I still remember he fumbles the snap against Michigan. He has trouble with the snap and that whole.
Yeah, was that the year that the punt thing happened with Michigan?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, and that's probably how they got in right there. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the difference. Yeah.
And that's still. Could you imagine how that punter for Michigan feels? Like that's still. Like seriously, every once in a while I Google that because that's one of the craziest plays that I've ever seen. Because if you watch this play, it is literally exactly what needed to happen for Michigan State to win that game. Nothing else could have happened. They had to block it, and they had to run it in for them to win the game. If Michigan gets the ball off, the game's over. If Michigan State blocks it but doesn't get in, it's over. That exact sequence of events had to happen, and that's what happened. It was one of the true miracles that I've ever seen in college football. Like more than the kick six for Auburn over Alabama. I would grade it higher.
The big problem with the Big Ten is they would probably have another 10 or 15 national championships, but USC always seemed to spank them in the Rose Bowl.
Yep,
and that's right.
And
that's right.
That's
the
a good
Big
point.
Ten could always run over each other.
He'll ban all Trojans. Don't remind him of that game.
I would agree with that for sure. Guys, I'm about to wrap this up. Time for the kiddos to head to bed. Tomorrow another school day. I got to get up early and take them to school. But as per usual, I will give everybody the last word of the day. Quick check on the subscriber count. Let y'all know how many more we have to go until 10,000. We have 137 to go till we get 10,000. I think we get there by the end of next week. What do y'all think?
I think a week and a half at most.
Yeah,
I would agree with that. All right, let's get out of here, guys. I'm going to give everybody the last word. We'll start with Jordan Bowman. Last word, buddy.
Oh man, I was on my phone, so I completely.
No, you good.
Go Tigers, and I had fun on this stream tonight. Thank you, GBD, for hosting, and I'll catch you guys later.
All right, buddy. I appreciate you jumping on, man. Good conversation. I like to have as many conferences and as many teams represented as possible. That's what makes this, tick. Mr. Jeff, Jeff, Mr. Taco Grimm.
Hey,
Last word.
I want everybody to remember to join Patreon. We're going to do another show this week, and this week we're going to discuss the SEC. We're going to decide who we think is going to win the SEC, who's going to play in the conference championship, and that. So everybody, please join Patreon, and if you get a chance, check out my videos at Tide Guy.
Tide Guy. I can vouch for him. Tide Guy does have some good videos over there. We will jump over to TND. What's your last word, man?
Yep. All I have to say is fear the FCS. Make sure to subscribe to Golden Blue Dude. He desperately wants him. And I'll catch y'all on the next one.
Thanks, TND. Good job. The Tim, the man.
I just really like having Jordan on the show. That guy knows not just, as far as ACC, he knows his stuff, but football in general, dude. I could just listen to that guy for hours. He's on D4's channel, and you guys should sub D4 up as well. And
D4 has a great channel
as well. Tide Guy he's got some great information. Other than that, I take pride in the fact that USC's knocked out Ohio State and Notre Dame, at least probably combined about maybe 10 titles. So it's always nice if you're not going to win it. It's nice to play a spoiler sometimes too. So thanks for having me on.
No problem, man. Come back tomorrow. Don't forget. Robert, last word, man.
Man, I just checked up the Penn State's record with Joe Paterno. The 94 is what I thought they won a title, but they didn't.
Yeah, they came close.
Yeah, it was very close. I knew there was because my wife's cousin played for Penn State at that time. That's the reason why I was like, that's another story I can tell you about another time, but that's the reason is I knew that I thought so, but I was wrong.
That happens.
Yeah, and of course I have to double check myself because I know Big Ten history because of being raised up there. So you usually use me as a Big Ten representative because of that reason.
Yeah,
with my knowledge of it because
it happens,
being
man.
raised up there. Yeah, but also you have to think most of us are bitter about that too.
Right, I got you.
Yeah.
Well, at least it was corrected. You're good.
Yeah, that's the reason why in my last words I wanted to correct it so everybody knows I already know about it.
All right, good job, man. I appreciate you.
Talk to you later.
All right, buddy. Let me get to this super chat real quick before we get out of here. David Z, thank you for the $2 donation. Says, "Who are you? I am. This is Iowa State #1 champ." That was a mouthful. Trying to interpret that. Who are you? No, what you? Oh, I read it wrong. Excuse me. What you are? I am. This is Iowa State #1 champ. I'm still lost. Somebody translate that to me, please. Anyways, appreciate the donation, though, buddy. Seriously, I appreciate it. Appreciate everybody that came out for the live show. There wouldn't be a live show without you. I'd just be talking to the camera for no reason. Everybody that super chatted, everybody that commented. And, hey, on the way out, don't forget to hit the like button. Even though this won't be live anymore, the more likes this video has, the more it's going to be suggested. So it'll grow the video. So on your way out, please hit the like button. And if you're a viewer and subscriber of Golden Blue Dude, please hit the notification because I don't have a schedule. I don't know when I'm going to go live. I have a busy life, so I fit it in wherever I can. Today was around, 7 o'clock, something like that. Tomorrow, who knows? So hit the notification. And if you're not a subscriber of Golden Blue Dude, please hit the subscribe button. It'll help us get to 10,000 subscribers. We're getting really, really close. And I think, honestly, we will be to 10,000 subscribers solidly, like for sure, next Friday. I'm going to say it. By next Friday, I think Golden Blue Dude will be at 10,000 subscribers. But we can't get there without people like you hitting the subscribe button. So please hit the subscribe button on the way out. We greatly appreciate it. That's it for this live show. We'll be back tomorrow. I just don't know what time.